Hello guys, so for today's video I thought I'd just do a quick video on the update. I purchased this with my own money. I wasn't sort of given early access to this, as you can probably tell with the sort of late release. But yeah, just want to have a quick look at the update. So this is sort of like the first time loading into it. So the menu has changed at the top here. You've now got all of your options up here: online, race weekend profile, teams, liveries, replays and settings. So having a quick look at the teams, this is a new feature. I've heard a little bit about it. So you can create your own teams. I'm pretty sure your liveries link into your teams. Probably will do another video at some point on the liveries, as that is something I'm interested in. It's not something I've ever done before, but I want to sort of give it a go, create my own livery, maybe to try and match my YouTube theme. And yeah, I probably will get a team created at some point. I think I might invite my brother into it, maybe get on some endurance races with him and do some driver swaps. It's flicking over to the livery, so nothing at the moment. Pretty sure I need to create a team before I can go into the liveries, but that's what those menus look like. What I'm probably going to do is see how these new cars drive. So I think if I load up a session, we do have the new track as well at Qatar International. We've got two layouts, got the default circuit and the short circuit. To test these cars out, as I don't really know the Qatar track, what I probably will do is jump into a track that I do know and I'm quite familiar with. So I know all the braking zones and can probably test the car properly. Maybe we'll jump into Monza. Just done a race there. It was about an hour and a half. Could also jump into Sebring as well, to be fair. Just thinking what sort of corners it's got. Monza's got like the long straight, so we could test the top speed. Let's jump into Monza. And then yeah, we've got the two cars that we can test out. So we've got the Lamborghini, and then we also have the Lexus as well. So we're jumping into both of these. Probably starting off with the Lamborghini. Go for the default setup. There we go. Leave everything else the same. Flick down the brake bias to around 48. Typically I'll sort of run it around 47, but just while we're getting used to the car, leave it at 48 for now. I can always change it on the fly. And then yeah, we'll leave the rest the same. So let's get out and see how it does. So let's first start off by seeing how it sounds. So if we listen to this. So sounding pretty nice, got a nice loud scream to it, having the V10 in it and all that. So let's pull out, see how we get on. Ooh, so yeah, already just from accelerating out of the pits, this car sounds absolutely fantastic. Sort of what you'd expect from a Lamborghini, I guess. It's absolutely screaming. So we did have the tyre warmers on, so we should be able to sort of push straight from the outlap. Lamborghini's stopping pretty well on the brakes there. Pretty stable on the brakes as well. Not really moving around too much. We're running a little bit wide through here, but just getting used to the car still. Just have a very long gear 5. Not sure I'll really be able to test gear 6, I don't really know if I've got a straight long enough. Yeah, you can drag gear 5 all the way out, right up to the top of the rev range. Doesn't seem to bounce off the rev limiter too early. So initial thoughts just after that first lap, the car's relatively stable. Not really too hard to control, at least at the moment anyway. So we do have the traction control and ABS settings pretty much at default. All we did was just change the brake bias. So hitting the curb quite hard there. The car does seem to be able to handle the curb relatively well. Doesn't really throw us off too much. Sometimes I feel like in the Ferrari, if you hit the curbs sort of too much, it will just throw you off and sort of super bumpy. Didn't really feel like that with the Lamborghini there. So getting on the power nice and early there, sort of pushing through that corner. Not getting really any oversteer or anything. I did see some people sort of complaining about that with the new tyre update, saying it's sort of a lot easier to lose the back of the car. At least with the lower traction control settings anyway. That's sort of why I left them as default. The downshifts on this car sound absolutely fantastic. So it does have a nice bit of front end through there. I do find it is understeering on the exit a little bit. Now coming from the Ferrari, which I have been using in the championship recently. If you do want to watch any of the races that I've done, currently on round 4, I'll be editing that video to get out soon. Please do go over to my YouTube channel and check that out. Yeah, that's Ferrari is mid-engined rear-wheel drive, similar to the Lamborghini here. So I suspect the handling characteristics are going to be similar. Let's see how it feels when we move over to the Lexus. Right, so there are probably those changing the tyre physics there, just getting on the power a little bit too early. Not really able to catch that slide. It does, when it snaps, it does snap quite quick. Maybe that's just how it is though. I'll have to check with the Ferrari at some point. I'm sure I've got one of my championship races tomorrow. I'll have to sort of see how the car handles around there. Got an hour and 10-minute race, so should give me plenty of time to get accustomed to it. Yeah, the car feels relatively stable under braking, doesn't really scrum around too much. Not too bad on the corner entry either. Maybe a little bit sort of wiggly, unstable on the initial corner entry, but coming out of the corner it feels pretty planted. As long as you're careful applying the accelerator, you can sort of get on it. So let's see if we can put in a couple of laps, maybe see what our quickest lap time can be. We actually sort of put our head down and focus. Running a little bit wide there onto the gravel. To keep our foot in it, so probably going to lose this lap. Maybe I'm getting on the power a little bit too early there, but I do feel like I'm creating quite a bit of understeer on the exit. Taking that rev range all the way up, maxing out at around about 164, 165. Not too bad. I think that's relatively similar to some of the other cars. Let's compare that to the Lexus and see what speed we top out in the Lexus. Downshift sound look glorious, cutting that curve probably way too much. Not getting the track limits though, so that's fine. So I was able to get on the power last night there, didn't really find too much understeer. Nice turning. Back stepping out just a little bit, not too much though. Could maybe reduce the sort of traction control settings by 1 click each, but as I say, for now I'm just going to leave them as they are. Don't want to be doing anything too drastic. Yeah, getting a better turn in this time. Not running wide on the exit either. Still down on our quickest lap though. Oh, quite a lot of understeer through there. Just as I was applying the throttle, just pushed the car out wide. Hard to say whether that's just my driving, whether it's the sort of base setup of the car, whether it's the new tyre physics or a combination of everything. Oh, just spinning out there and losing the spoiler. So just as a quick overview then, car seems relatively not too hard to drive. I feel like it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Feels relatively stable coming into the corners. Brakes in a straight line, not really too squirmy. Maybe the car is a little bit unstable on sort of the initial entry to the corner. The actual braking phase and turning phase I feel like it's okay, but sort of mid-corner I feel like it can get a little bit unsettled. It does feel relatively planted on the corner exits though, so yeah, definitely worth one to try for me anyway, at least with me sort of coming from the Ferrari. So yeah, let's flick over to the Lexus then and just have a few laps in that, see how we get on. Obviously, let's just make a note, best lap in this is a 153.024. We can obviously compare that to what we did in the Lexus, and then also compare that to the Ferrari as well, see what we got on that. But yeah, just flicking over to the Lamborghini, we'll see you in the pits. Right, so jumping into the Lexus then. We'll have the same setup, so we'll just select the Le Mans default. So I did check my lap time in the Ferrari as well, around sort of a 1 hour and 10 race I did around this circuit the other day, and the quickest time was a 1:51.186, I think. Let me just double check that. Sorry, 1:52.186. So that was my quickest lap time around here the other day. So in the Lambo we did a 1:53.031 or something like that, I think. So let's sort of see what we can do in the Lexus, see how it feels compared to the Lambo. So let's see how it sounds first before we jump off. So it sounds pretty good. It definitely sounds more sort of bassy than the Lamborghini. I guess this does have the V8 as opposed to the V10 in the Lambo, but yeah, let's go out onto the track. So we can get a bit of temperature in those tyres just to help us off. We do have the tyre warmers on, so we can again sort of push pretty quick. One thing I have noticed with the Lexus, because I have sort of done some recording before this and didn't capture the game audio, so having to re-record it, but yeah, I do feel like the gears in the Lexus are a little bit shorter than they are in the Lamborghini. You can't quite drag the gears out as much as you can in the Lambo. So this car sort of may be better on fuel efficiency in those longer races due to that. I guess it'll have to be something you test and find out. Right, so I feel like instantly this car does feel a bit more unsettled on the brakes. I feel like the car's sort of moving around a little bit in the heavy braking zones. So that Aston Martin go ahead a little bit. Not really racing here, just trying to get a feel for the car. So again, a little bit of understeer through there, and the sort of car feeling like it wanted to flick around as we swung it around to the left. Definitely got that deeper grumble than the Lamborghini. So yeah, car sort of squirming around there, then as I turned it in, it did get a big bit of understeer before it finally gripped up. Whether that's this car, whether it's the sort of new tyre model, I'm not too sure. So we do have the tyre warmers on, so the tyres are relatively up to temperature. You can see this car squirming around there under braking. So leaving the TC settings as they are, it's not too difficult out of the corners at the moment. I have seen some of the other guys using those lower TC settings as they would before, and coming out of the corners, it's sort of spinning out, back end stepping right out. Initially I do feel like this car does feel a little bit of more of a handful to drive than the Lamborghini. Maybe that's from me coming from the Ferrari, so I'm sort of used to the sort of same engine and drive layout. Whereas it's obviously a little bit different, so it's inherently going to have probably a little bit more understeer. Just feel like it wants to kill me at every corner though. It's not an easy car to drive. Yeah, there we go. I think that just shows it. Now hopefully with you guys watching this, you can sort of see how these cars might handle for your sort of everyday person. Some of the other YouTubers, obviously they're sort of like aliens on the game. Super quick. Yeah, just as your sort of average person works 9 to 5 and can only spend maybe a couple of hours, a few nights a week on the sim. This is sort of what the cars are like to drive. They're not too hard. I feel like the new tyre model is going to take a little bit of getting used to. I do have a championship race tonight, so I'm hoping I'm not spinning out in the Ferrari too much due to the change, but I guess we'll have to see. Everyone's going to be in the same boat, so. Yeah, if you do want to see how we get on in the championship as well, do consider subscribing. Doing alright at the moment. Out of all of the Bronze 3 drivers that have entered the championship, we're currently the second Bronze 3 driver in the championship standings in terms of points. Quite a jump to gap to P1, but you never know. In the last 2 races, he might not score. We could close that gap up. We're going in a bunch of time through there then. So this car seems to be able to take the curves okay as well. Doesn't really seem to sort of push you off too much by taking the curbs. Sometimes I feel like in the Ferrari, if you hit the curb too hard, it can just chuck you out wide. A nice bit of momentum on this McLaren then. Should be able to go clear around the outside before jumping into the braking zone. Taking it a little bit easy through here then, as we did obviously spin out through here last time. Car not feeling super settled through there. Feeling like it wants to spin me off at every opportunity. back end coming around a little bit. Just bounced off the rev limiter there because, as I say, I feel like the gears are a little bit shorter. And we do set a 152.848, so it's a little bit quicker than we went in the Lamborghini. However, I don't feel like it's as enjoyable of an experience to drive. I feel like the car, over a long period of time, would just be a little bit draining to drive. You have to be so switched on. It just seems very twitchy going through the corners. I feel like the car likes to sort of move around quite a bit. As you come into like braking zones, it likes to move around. As you go through the corners, it likes to squirm around as well. So maybe that's due to me having driven the Ferrari quite a bit recently, so I'm used to the sort of like mid-engine rear-wheel drive layout and the way those cars handle, as opposed to the front-engine rear-wheel drive. Having jumped in these cars and done maybe about sort of half an hour in each car, I don't feel like it's too bad going really. Obviously it's going to take some more playing around with, getting used to the actual tyre model, maybe fine-tuning the traction control settings and ABS settings and the brake bars for these new cars. Yeah, if you guys are considering giving these a go, I'd definitely suggest trying the Lamborghini. That's probably my favourite car out of the two to drive, and one that I may potentially have a look at going forwards once I've done this championship. And I'll sort of flick back over to some of the online races. I might definitely consider giving the Lamborghini a go. I might have a look at the Lexus as well, maybe as sort of further updates come out and the setups for them get more fine-tuned. This is on the default setup. Usually a lot of the races that I've been doing are fixed setup, so maybe the fixed setups for these are a little bit better, or just that maybe the setups for these cars aren't quite perfect at the moment, you never know. Yeah, I hope you guys have obviously enjoyed watching this. Hopefully it was helpful. If it has been helpful, or you do have any tips, please stick anything in the comments down below. I do like to read them, and I'll do try to reply to any comments you guys leave. And yeah, also consider subscribing to the channel. I'm going to try and get out some more sort of guide videos. I want to do a video on liveries, as I'm hoping to create sort of like a custom livery for my YouTube theme, to having sort of online races as well, championships going forward. So I need to do some research on that, as I've never had to create liveries via these TIFF files, or TA files, whatever they were. So yeah, hopefully you guys can follow me in that journey, and maybe you can even try and create a livery yourself. Yeah, the next video coming out should be a championship race, so keep your eye out for that one. But yeah, Lexus, hard to drive, but maybe a little bit quicker than the Lamborghini initially. Lamborghini feel like more fun to drive, more stable under braking. Sometimes, however, though, I do feel like the back end sort of wants to come out a little bit, but I feel like I'm sort of more used to that just due to sort of driving the Ferrari. So hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.